body is soft and wiggly, his ears are back, he's licking his lips, he has a little wag.
Thumbs up for face screening.
Thumbs up.
Trembling a little bit. Squinty eyes.
His lips are really long,
Yippee.
wiggly body, ears are back,
No wag.
he's shaking.
He followed with his body low to the ground. He's a little distracted. He orients towards you pretty well.
Ready? Squeeze. Pulls back gently. Squeeze. Pulls back gently. Edges my hand. Cam, you want a toy? What about this toy? Give me that toy. Give me this toy. Here, Jim, you want a bone? Jim, Jim, Jim. Jim, Jim, Jim. So close. Give me that. He dropped it. Little inches in my hand. Here, Champ, you want some food? Give me that food. That was my purple. And we have that. There's some good pressure. Give me that. Let's do it. Yeah, there should be one in the pocket. You know where he's at, right?
I think it's up the corner.
Yeah, he's right across from Champ.
I gotta go grab the dog control dog.
I couldn't see what you were doing. You were squeezing his foot. That's why I moved. I'm
Yeah.
sorry if I distracted you,
Yeah,
but I
it's
couldn't
okay.
see.
It's fine. You did fine. Yeah, I was squeezing in between his paw pads, just applying gentle pressure and seeing what he's gonna do.
What breed do you have him as?
Greyhound mix.
Good.
He's pretty greyhound.
Yeah, you know I do that. All my dog stuff on me. It seems like in the training I got before, you do it really quick.
It's fast. We got it down to about 7 to 10 minutes per dog.
Yeah, we were told to let it go longer, so.
Yeah, we just
you're
do it
doing
fast. We just want to see what he's gonna do. Here's the helper dog.
Okay.
Yep. Ears back, body low. Our entire assessment probably takes 7 to 10 minutes. But that's it.
So you don't allow 4 pounds?
A lot more of our dogs will pass on that test.
Yeah.
Which is not good, I don't think.
What we have found with the test is, we had dogs that passed, and dogs that didn't. This dog has already passed his assessment. He's on our adoption floor. What this test is doing is to find out what the dog is going to do. I'm not going to force him to do anything. What is he going to do in a situation that he's presented in? Is he going to aggress in these particular situations? A lot of the situations that we give him, he's going to come across in a home, such as the first test that we did. We'll go into this more in detail when we talk about data sheets and stuff. But the first test that I did, when I'm looking at his face, I'm just holding his face gently and looking into his eyes. And a lot of people are going to look at their dog's face, right? You look at your dog's face, you grab his face, and you look into his eyes. Some dogs don't like that, and we want to find out, is he okay with that, or does he have, is he going to react aggressively to that? Next test was the body test, and how is he going to react to somebody handling his body? I like to call it manhandling, but we're not really manhandling. It's a little bit more than just it's a little general pressure, but it's a little bit more than petting. How is he going to react to that? And then we have the noise and movement test, which is to find out how is he going to react to, I like to relate it to a child. Children make a lot of noise and a lot of quick movements, and how does he respond to that, and how does he respond to an unexpected touch? If I'm flailing around acting silly and then I touch him unexpectedly, what's he going to do? Is he going to react aggressively in that sort of situation, such as you would have with a child? And then the foot test is to see how is he going to react. What test is bite inhibition is what we're testing. How is he going to react when I do something that is mildly aversive? A lot of dogs don't like their feet being touched. And how is he going to react when I do something mildly aversive, such as messing with his feet? Is he going to react aggressively? And then, is he a resource guarder with the toy, the rawhide, and the food? A lot of the videos that you'll see when we watch more videos, we had it before where we were doing food, toy, and rawhide. And we found that once we introduced the food, the dogs were no longer interested in toys or rawhide. They're focused on the food. So we swapped it, and we've gotten a lot better results. You have a lot more dogs that are engaged in the food or the rawhide if you introduce the toy last. And then the dog introduction, yes, it's very short. It is very short. It's generally in very close proximity, and it's on a short, tight leash. That is probably, that's the worst case scenario you're going to come across when two dogs are introduced. And just to see, what is he going to do?
What would fail?
We'll go over the data
so
sheets.
fast.
We'll go over the data sheets. If a dog, generally if a dog's going to rush in and try to jump on the other dog, or be growling or snarling or things like that, we'll fail him.
Why did you do away with the looking at the teeth part?
That's a safety issue. That's we based our test based on the SAFER that we had talked about earlier. And when we looked at the SAFER versus the CBA, when we were deciding as when we were doing Rescue Wagon, when we looked at the two, we felt that the SAFER format was safer than looking at his teeth a bunch of times. But Kelly's not done with the test, so I don't know if that's going to come back or what. We as assessors, we have never tested the mouth portion.
Most of our dogs fail that part.
We don't know what kind of information that would
Just because
give.
when you're doing that, that's when you'll get that where they flip back.
Yeah, we got that as well on a lot of our assessment pieces, but that's just what, on those pieces, those are what he's most commonly, what we're doing are situations that he's most commonly going to be presented. The teeth, I understand when you go to the vet, that's probably a common situation that you're going to come, the dog's going to come into, but in an everyday household, we're not always going to be looking at his teeth.
So just to give you guys some context,
Right.
just to give you guys some context on where Rescue Wagon was and is and all this kind of stuff, if you ever find two professional dog behaviorists that agree on anything, just let me know because it just doesn't.
Agree on one thing, it's that the other one is wrong.
Exactly. They'll always agree that the other one's wrong. But basically, Rescue Wagon started with SAFER, and then there was an opinion that some of the aspects of SAFER couldn't be done by some people. So then they hired Connie Howard out of Humane Society of Boulder Valley, and she works for PetPoint now. So they hired her to kind of design a new program for Rescue Wagon, which that's what the CBA is. And now we're going another direction with another behavior team. So it's like none of this is probably 100% right, and none of it's probably 100% wrong. It's just a different way to do the test. If you are doing the CBA, use the CBA grade sheet. If you are doing this revised CBA, use this revised CBA grade sheet. So whatever test you do, make sure you use the right grade sheet. Put it in your sleeve for transport, you're good to go. If you're finding that a lot of these dogs are failing on the tooth thing, the teeth test, and you want to do revised CBA, let's do revised CBA. We just want the test to be done correctly and to be graded correctly, and then destination shelters should be getting a predictable set of dogs, basically. Yep.
Can I ask a dumb question, because I like numbers?
Sure.
How long has this revised system been used, and how successful in placing afterwards have you been?
Oh,
There's no pequeño, we don't have that data yet.
I mean, we're starting the research now.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we did use the SAFER.
Yep.
And there should be some numbers on that. But we as a team used the SAFER, which is very similar, and we had success with it. I mean, you obviously have dogs that are not going to pass, but we had a lot of dogs that did pass.
It gives
The
you a very
primary
good indicator.
difference right now in the way the test that you're gonna learn this weekend and that you have in your manual is, there are a couple of differences. The scoring, the wording on the score sheets has been revised to make it easier to discriminate between certain kinds of behaviors. Like, for example, in one of the tests, sensitivity looking, there were 2 descriptions for jumping up. And we were finding that a lot of people were scoring dogs with a score of 1 that really should have been a score of 3, because dogs jump up in both those situations, but they jump up in different ways. So we made some clarifications on some of those descriptions. And then we switched the order of the food and toy tests, because our research that we've done thus far has indicated that when you do the food test first, it overshadows the toy test because the dog is now preoccupied with the food. And we're finding that we're getting more information on the toy and rawhide tests now that they come before the food part.
Now, Connie, and I will say Connie placed a premium on sociability and sort of kennel friendliness. Like, you know, it was very much also how the dog did behind the gate and all that kind of stuff. You know, if you've got a dog that's not kenneling well in your shelter, you don't have to test it. I mean, like, you can choose to keep a dog off of Rescue Wagon. That's fine with us. In fact, when in doubt, don't test. Like, if you think he's not going to kennel well or he's not doing well in the shelter, I mean, in general, we need dogs that are going to move through the system pretty quickly. So we want those wiggle butts at the front of in the front of the cage. That doesn't mean that those dogs will fail CBA. It just means that they're maybe not doing so well or whatever. So that's still your decision on who you test. You know, that's still fine.
We did put that's another difference. We did put the kennel test on there. For this purpose, we're doing the kennel test. They got a lot of information about that kind of thing. Is the dog just really overwhelmed and stressed in its normal environment? And how is he responding to interacting with people? Is he coming up and wiggling and kind of being flirtatious, or is he shaking in the back and that sort of thing? I like the information we get from that. So that is one part that we left in. It may be that we add some things back in. I think if I want to look at the parts more closely. And so right now it's very, very similar to SAFER with some tweaks to it.
That sounds like the harder, the more difficult